All right, Floyd, how's your audio doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother man. I
How
can
you
hear you.
doing? We're starting up the Trackheads podcast after 87 years, however long it's been. Mostly my fault, but you know how it is being busy with things. We'll only have a handful of people probably watch this. I know when we do it on YouTube and we post it, there's only get about 10 views, but I was surprised. I was looking back through the Spotify and some of the other podcasting sites. I know the one that we did with Dave Miller, my buddy who was the strength coach at Houston, one of the best Olympic lift coaches out there. It had over like 1,000 something listens, which for a niche thing like that ain't too bad. So, I think you were surprised too. We went to a convention, and I wasn't sure if you were were you at the lunch with me where the dude asked when we're going to do more episodes?
Yeah.
I don't remember which college it was. He was just sitting there looking at us, and he goes, "So what are you guys going to do a couple more episodes?" I was like, "Oh, somebody actually listened to something that we did." But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see you again. So how's everything going on so far this summer?
Listen, man, I'm just trying to stay cool. Temps have been up around here this week, and then just the air quality been poor, I guess, from the Canadian wildfires or whatever. But
Yeah, somebody burned some poutine up in Canada, so now everybody's got to deal with Canadian smoke all over the place.
yeah, but I've been all right, man. Been all right.
Just been doing any of your club coaching over the summer. So what have you been doing to keep busy?
Yeah. Well, I've been dealing with the club. It's just scaled down quite a bit over the last couple of years. I mean, I got as high as I think 26 kids last summer, but I think I was best around 6 and 10 kids, and we got about 5 this summer. So I think it benefits me as well as them a little more, because it's just
Right.
a smaller group. But other than that, man, I just enjoying my summer. I've been biking, and then I got a few kids, in summer class who come and lift. So that's been keeping me pretty busy.
Yeah. My summer has been pretty uneventful. Obviously right now I'm searching out there for the next coaching gig. I ain't going to get into that all too much unless, you got questions for me, but it's a weird game, college track and field coaching. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's thankless. It's unappreciated, kind of all of those things. So for me, I wrote up a kind of statement thing. I sent it over to you. You said it looked good and wasn't angry or, spiteful. It was pretty positive, not a negative message, but still unsure if I'm going to post it. Wasn't sure what you think. I don't have to go into specifics with it, but you think it kind of said everything properly?
I mean, I think you touched on a lot of points. You spoke assertively, but I don't think it was offensive or insulting to anybody.
Okay.
And quite frankly, you talked about a lot of things that a lot of us are concerned with daily, when it comes to the coaching profession. So,
where do you think this is going in terms of college coaching? I mean, especially with the 5-year eligibility D1. I was talking to my former assistant today, really good guy, and I said, I think one thing people aren't realizing it's going to affect. I think a lot of schools are going to use their graduate assistants for basically a 6th year for some of their athletes. Oh, you lost me? You got that Chicago bandwidth going on now. But I think we're going to lose. I think we're going to lose a lot of GA positions because I think what schools are going to do they're going to do, um, basically 4 years for the kid, give him a fifth year for grad school, and then he's going to have another year of grad school left. And I think they're going to promise them a GA position going right into it. So instead of trying to get good coaches for GAs, they're just going to be giving it to their better athletes as kind of like a guarantee to finish up their master's degree. So I think that's something that's going to be coming down the pike too. So I think that's going to be hurting our coaching profession, honestly.
I think that the 5 year thing will probably quickly change. Uh, either I think they'll either go back to 5 years to do four, or maybe 6 years to do five. Just because, unfortunately, it'll probably happen, but it'll have to happen. It's just gonna be like high school. If a kid get injured or something come up, you just lose a year. Uh, I think enough of the significant athletes, significant contributors on team, if enough of those people succumb to losing a year like that, red shirting will be brought back, or they'll change. It'll either go back to 5 years to do four, or 6 years to do five. I don't see it staying this way. I could be wrong, but I don't think it'll stay this.
Honestly, I don't see college staying this way. Like it's not higher education anymore. The business realm has infiltrated education. To the negative of all parties involved. Honestly, because the more you're treating a university, in my opinion, as a corporation, you're taking away from what higher education is supposed to be, and you're hurting your own growth in that regard. You know what I mean? There's very few solid academic schools who are doing the right things in terms of vetting admissions, getting the right people into higher education, that are not doing well. All the ones doing well are the ones that are seemingly desperate for enrollment, desperate for revenue. And my opinion, their actions, that's what's hurting them more than anything else. I don't know what you're dealing with out there in the Midwest, but at least in the Northeast, that's what I feel.
I mean, we've seen a lot of shrinkage from departments. Small colleges, I mean, it's a wonder many of them, many more haven't shuttered. I mean, my alma mater shuttered in 2023, but I mean, many similar schools like that, and then even larger schools are coming up short of enrollment numbers. So they're gonna see some downsizing. I think. Uh, the unfortunate thing about all of this eligibility, really a lot of the things, there are few the institutions that actually benefit, if any, from this. You know, uh, they operated in a totally different way and are looking towards totally different outcomes, but it's kind of a trickle down effect. Everybody else kind of has to abide by it, and that's where a lot of programs get lost in the shuffle, especially, I mean, mid majors. You know, I feel for a lot of those programs. You know, so
Well, and it's, when people talk about it, and sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not, just, the exponential growth of how many administrative positions are at a lot of these colleges. You know what I mean? It's not the grunts who are making 30, 40, 50 grand that are pulling the bottom line down. But sometimes when you have, one administrator for every 20 students, and that person's making six figures, you know what I mean? That's
mhm,
some bloat that you don't really take into account. And
yeah,
it's hard to say how many of those positions are actually adding revenue to a college, as opposed to just being a position there. Anybody in college athletics, depending on the sport, obviously, but every sport, you're bringing in revenue to university. But there's a lot of
yeah,
jobs that really get no revenue into a university, that are making six figures, that are going to stay as constant positions. And at this point, I know I'm shouting into the wind, because you can't get the toothpaste back in the bottle, but it's something that's causing this whole situation to begin with.
yeah. That's one of many factors. Again, I think that's an instance where there are institutions that can support that type of growth in the administrative positions. And then, unfortunately, you have colleges who can't support that type of. They don't have the capacity to do that, trying to mimic, universities that differ in, size, mission, and outcome. So, uh, but it's a monkey see, monkey do world sometimes. And
And one of the positions that a lot of coaches I know have been getting into with really good success, and this is where I think the universities are pretty smart. I know a lot of coaches that we've been friendly with that have moved on to basically advancement roles of securing donations from alumni and corporate sponsors and things like that. Because if you're a coach, you already know how to sell, marketing, because that's what you do every day, recruiting student athletes. So somebody like that taking a
100%.
role in a administrative role to secure donations, I mean, that just seems like no brainer at that point.
Yeah, you have to take in consideration too, yeah, the amount of close relationships they build with eventual alumni. You know, there's few people you can hire that probably been invited to weddings, birthday parties of former students, now alums. Those are the people they developed a close relationship coaching, and now you know soliciting funds.
And
Especially
that,
if you go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, and that's one of the things I talked about my former assistant about earlier is like, obviously with not having much salary to give them, the one thing I try to do as much as I could, because over the years I've gotten a lot of connections. So I know a lot of coaches around there. And I was telling him that's how you get some respect and recognition, especially in track and field, is getting to know these coaches that are in higher positions, because there's very few, if any, really good respected track coaches that are not generous with their time. I mean, a huge amount of them also. The ones that are really solid coaches have no ego. They'll talk to anybody about anything, all those types of things. And really that's how you get ahead. And it's the same thing in the advancement world of securing donations. Like that's the whole business right there.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, as well as I know, man. You don't know anyone in this profession. You will not be making any moves or going anywhere. So, but I
Yeah.
mean,
And that's something where I think a lot of colleges get our sport wrong. Like we are a real close knit community. You know what I mean? And with everything that's been going on, some of the coaches that have talked to me, I'm not going to name drop or anything as much as I would like to. It'd be kind of fun. But some of those good coaches shoot me a text, give me a phone call, things like that. It's rare, especially when you're at a small institution. The baseball coach isn't going to get a call from Tommy Lasorda. You know what I mean? But
right.
wow, my old ass, I'm trying to think of a coaching reference, and all I got is Tommy Lasorda from 3 decades ago. I am an old fool. I might as well just say, Harmon Killebrew. Jeez. But at least, we have these connections, and everybody within the track community, we kind of understand that even those really good programs, they don't really get the respect and recognition of other sports of what they're getting. So I think that's kind of what kept us to be a kind of close community. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Because I mean, even the prestigious in our eyes are usually the redheaded stepchild at the institution. So they get it completely. So it's a lot of relatability. Yeah. So
And going more with the crossover, and I think this is where not just through athletics, but universities as a whole can take kind of a lesson from coaches, especially track and field coaches, is getting to know the personalities of the people that are working for you. You know what I mean? Because we coached together many years ago, right as you got out of college, and we had some personalities. And you have two choices at that time. You could try to make a connection and bring them along and talk to them and try to rationale with them, or you could just say, get the heck out of here. And I think that's where a lot outside of athletics, or even within athletics, when you look at athletic directors and other people, administrators in there, of
Hmm.
not knowing how to lead, not knowing how to manage. And for me, I think that's kind of the ironic thing of you're in a higher education institution where you're all about growth. That is the entire point of higher education: is social growth, academic
Hmm.
growth, athletic growth, all those things. And you're not even setting an example from the high through the low in those regards. And
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people can learn from coaching, like I said, especially track and field coaching.
Yeah. And I know you. I think I know your answer to this, but I'm just facilitating conversation. Do you believe that we've lost kind of the thought that athletics is like it's one of those things that are interdependent in the higher education space? I think there was a time where we were looked at as educators and a part of the education process for those student athletes, but I believe we're getting further and further away from it in general. You know, there are some people, there are some administrators out there who definitely still value it. And I don't want to say it's not valued by administration, but I'll say, if I was in that position, if I've been given the picture that I'm a separate entity, would I think different? You know, I probably would, but that's not the mindset I have around the whole thing. But no, I've talked
Yeah, I
enough. Let me
mean,
hear your thoughts.
no, you're right, and you're right, and I don't want to say wrong at the same time, but they want athletics to kind of function as its own thing, and they don't want it to be involved in anything in terms of academics, general campus community, until they
Hmm.
want it to be. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They until they
Yeah.
say, well, the rest of the employees are doing things this way, so why aren't you? But hey, we're not treating you as part of the rest of the campus community. And
Hmm.
that's where it's getting more and more pushed aside. And I've noticed, me and you, I remember one of our duties under D Brown was we ran study hall. We Sunday night, what was it, like 7 to 9 p.m. or whatever it was, we had everybody in the computer lab. We couldn't let them on Facebook or YouTube or nothing.
Yeah.
And it was study hall for 2 hours. And we always
Yeah.
had the kids, oh, I don't have any homework. You always have something to do. Read ahead.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
But even now, getting some of those resources and things that we used to be able to do with academic support
Yeah.
departments and things like that, that
Hmm.
seems to be really diminishing as well. To
Hmm.
where it's more, no, they have their own support. We don't need something special for the student athletes. It's like, well, you kind of do when they have
Hmm.
20 hours of outside work on top of their normal academic studies.
Yeah. I mean, I've been fortunate at DuPage. We have excellent academic support staff, and we do have our own academic counselor, for our track and field athletes, which has been a huge help. And I've been blessed in that situation because usually, like if we need to get ahead of a student struggling in class, or and when I God bless her, we work well together. Our academic counselor, I know I'm a text away if I think we need to sit down and speak to a student personally, or she'll text me if this kid is struggling. Uh, but I think coming from your ear, it'll mean a little more. So like we kind of tag team all of that, and it's been a wonderful thing. I know that's not always been the case. And I've been at institutions where it's just like, dude, you're a track coach, like piss off, and it's just like like I'm out of school, so it don't hurt me. It only hurts the student. So I don't. You could think I'm overreaching, or why do I care about grades, blah blah blah. But uh, we are all trying to educate these young people in the game of life. And that's part of it. And, we should be kind of interdependent. You know, of each other and the whole educational process for the student athlete. That's just my feel. That's my thought.
Well, it's not
And,
just institution to institution. A lot of times it's professor by professor. Like even within places where maybe I haven't had a huge amount of academic support, one professor is great about calling me up, being like, hey, so-and-so, your athlete, they're missing, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to help them out. And then there'll be some that are, hey, like you're saying, hey, you're a coach. I don't need to talk to you. So a lot of times it's just the professor's own ego of that's an athletic person. I don't really care what they're saying. This person has to do what they're supposed to do in my class. And, some are great if we have a 4-day track meet, we got to travel, and some are horrible. Well, no, you're not supposed to miss any class. So it really just depends, I think, a lot of times on the individual. But the institution's job at that point is to set the framework of, no, we need better support for these athletes and set the tone early for that. That's what the institution can do as a whole.
Yeah, that's true. You know what I find ironic about all of that? I mean, you and I both, we've been to grad school. And you know the difference between undergrad and grad school as far as while we are more mature students, just the communication, how communication affords you flexibility. And sometimes, and I'm never one that like the student doesn't have to do the work or like they have to earn the grade, but like you would think, uh, a bunch of people that were afforded flexibility in grad school, you would think once they begin to teach young men and women that, especially if the student is to communicate, they would afford them some flexibility. I just think it's so ironic, but
well, no, you're right, because I remember grad school for me. So I got my master's in education, and part of my bachelor's to get my history degree, I didn't need an economics class. It wasn't part of the requirements. And then I'm in grad school and I'm about to finish up, and they said, well, to finish your master's of education, you need an economics class, but you need a basic level economics that you do not have, but it has to still be a graduate level course. So the head of the economics department was actually the PA announcer for ice hockey up in St. Lawrence. And I emailed him, and he actually put me in the freshman economics class as a 24, 25-year-old. And I just had to write one extra paper at the end, and it qualified me as a graduate class. So like you're saying, that's that flexibility within graduate school of, hey, this person's trying to finish their master's. What can we do to kind of make this work?
Exactly. And I think, especially if a student is working and they're doing everything they're supposed to do in the class, otherwise, why can't you be flexible? I mean, when I was getting my master's, I was coaching, and I happened to have a kid. Well, it was World Juniors back then. It was U20s now, but he made the team, and I wanted to travel with him. I did travel with him, but after he made the team, it was I pulled my professor to the side like the next week in class, explained the situation. Like the professor gets this huge grin on her face. We in a break, she announces to everybody, "Oh, this is happening. For those of you didn't know that Floyd is a coach, and he had a student make the team USA, blah 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 blah." And she was like, "Well, you got to get your work in by the deadline, but we have been forming a project." But she allowed me to present the project before I had to leave for Oregon. And then, but since I did the presentation, she basically, the paper I turned in, she considered it a draft, and she gave me up into a week after the class was finished. So if I wanted to make any revisions on the paper, I mean, I turned in the same stuff, but I mean, just to be afforded that flexibility, and those same people, who've been through that and afforded that, to just be so rigid on students sometimes. It's like, of all the things we want to be flexible about now, and I mean,
I mean, no, you're 100% right, and that's why for me, I'm in this transition period now of thinking, where should I go from here? You know what I mean? Because for me, I'm trying not to do a panic or just do a quick acceptance of a job. I'm trying to really figure it out. I'm too old I can't be driving out to the Midwest no more. My family's on the East Coast. I love to be around Philly, all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
let me think. Where do you think I should go on from here? What I hear from a lot of people is, Greg, stop playing around with the smaller schools trying to build a program. You have enough contacts. Just go to a larger program, be a full-time assistant for one event area, enjoy it, and just try to enjoy the track and field coaching in that regard. So what do you see for me right now?
I mean, I'm gonna just be honest, man. I don't think you can allow yourself to just be concentrated like that, man. That's just not in you, man. It's just not in you. I've known you too long. Now, I'm not saying that wouldn't be awesome for you. I think it would be awesome for you to just be a full-time assistant at a higher level. Focus on one group, man. Like get a reset, man. I mean, it's still track and field. You're still around track and field athletes.
Well, you think
You
if
can
I was
talk.
coaching just multis, I'd be looking over to the throws practice, or being trying to like just
I
I just
just
love the
think
sport too much.
you have a lot of tools in the toolbox, and you got to use all the tools.
Right.
It's just in you. You know what I mean? It is not a bad thing, but what I'm saying is, you know, just to relax for a couple years, and not relax by not coaching,
Right.
but like it'd probably be the reset you need, bro.
What, of going just one event area and just relaxing that way, you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it could be. So for me, like, and Floyd used to make fun of me all the time. Sometimes he'd have a few lemonades, and I'd just be talking about my history quotes and things like that. I remember the one time I said some random trivia to you, and you're like, "Man, I don't need to just teach me about pole vault or something. Like I don't care about any of this history stuff or nothing like that." But that's a transition into saying, the last 3 weeks or so, I reread Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I'll go on a little bit of a history tangent right now. Who was known as the last of the five good Roman emperors, and he was what was known as a Stoic. So a lot of that philosophy is what I've been reading lately, and the idea is the overall theme is when we're going through a hardship, of don't think of it as a hardship, think of it as an opportunity for something else. And one of the books I was reading used Reuben Carter for an example. If you know Reuben Carter, who was the
Hurricane.
Hurricane, the boxer, when he went to prison, he refused to do a lot of the things other people were doing, didn't complain, didn't do some of the other jobs. He just read. He read law, he read books, he just tried to become a better person to help for his appeal. Or there's an old story of a king that put a huge boulder in the middle of the road of the only road into town. And people would just usually go up and turn around and leave and say, okay, I guess I'm not going into town, until one person took down a branch, made a fulcrum, a lever, moved it out of the way. And there was, a purse of money there saying,
Yeah.
good job turning your obstacle into reward. So that's where my mind is kind of right now, of maybe this is the opportunity to go into a position, and for me and you, I'm sure you're the same way. And I talk with a handful of other coaches, like I had said, of just the idea of enjoying the people you're working with again. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in negative connotation, but me and you, when we worked together, me, you, and Brooke at Iowa Central, we had a lot of fun. Our athletes improved, and that goes a long way of being a place where you're appreciated, where people understand you, where you kind of know when you're all working for the same goal. So
Right.
for me, that's kind of where my mind's been lately.
Yeah. You thought. I mean, you probably still doing it, normally, but you been doing any weightlifting clinics, or you got anything on the horizon?
I'm going to go help out a former athlete next week.
Yeah, I
Not
knew
going to
it.
be
I knew
not going to be in Chicago.
it.
I'm going to be in Michigan, so a little
Okay.
closer to you, but all the way upstate.
Okay.
You know me. People say I'm stupid for it. I've never charged for my clinics, or if an athlete reaches out to me. This goes back to after I graduated college. I was a personal trainer when I was training decathlon, and believe it or not, the group I was working with charged people for me to coach them $50 a half hour. So $100 an hour for a personal training session. And this was back 2005.
Oh, wow.
And I remember there was a single mother who said, I just can't afford to do this anymore. And I told her, I said, hey, it's expensive. I can't control it. I was like, anytime you're in here, just come ask me for advice. I'll write down some stuff for you. I'll watch you if you need to. Like, there's certain things that I think I just don't want to charge for. Like, I want coaches to be better with the Olympic lifts. I want them to understand program design a lot better for strength and conditioning. So even though I could probably charge a lot of money to do those types of things, I don't like to do that. I would rather just help out the coaches, and maybe that's why I have a good reputation within the track coach community. But I don't understand these coaches in these groups that are charging thousands of dollars for, when you think about it, pretty basic information of coaching and program design.
Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, I'm on both sides of it. I'm one that has supplemented my income as a private coach. I am also one who has been able to thrive because of the goodwill of several other coaches in the community. Y'all know who y'all are. I appreciate you. So, but I get it, man. You're not paying no mortgage just to get no doggone training about the hammer or the javelin or the shot put. So, I keep it reasonable, but I get that too. I've helped plenty of people, free of
Oh no,
charge.
I'm not saying you're wrong for charging the thing. I'm just saying I'm an idiot for not charging things.
No. But what I'm saying is, that's goodwill that needs to be given to some coaches, and that's goodwill that we need to hand to others. And I've done both. Yeah, so I'm not saying that, but I get where you're coming from. I've done that too, and I've benefited from coaches who helped me out, free of charge. Like I said, y'all know who y'all are out there. I appreciate you. So.
Oh no, and especially me at Iowa Central, and I've named them, so I'm not going to rename all the coaches, but the coaches that just would help me out, because I went from D3 graduate assistant for throws to D1 jumps multis to Iowa Central jumps multis. I don't remember. I was hurdles too, wasn't I? It's been so long, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember too much, but so going through all those event areas, and each time the level of athletes stepping up, I really had to rely on a lot of those coaches. Because I remember me and you, when we went to the Iowa track and field clinic, Lolo Jones was there, but then Dom Babbitt was there from Georgia. And I remember me and you just trying to talk his ear off, like when everybody's chilling in the lounge afterwards, just asking him questions about stuff.
Hey, his burger got cold.
That's right. He got like a burger for takeout, and we were sitting there talking. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But
we were young.
He asked all the questions, man. But if I could go back, man, I would have told him enjoy his burger, and we'll get up later.
But that goes back to what I was saying, though. Of good coaches, they don't have the ego about it. They love the sport. They love coaches that want to learn more, and that's. I was fortunate last year. I had a very good assistant, and I mean this wholeheartedly. He's going to be a much better coach than I was, because he reminds me a lot of you when you started, where he loves the sport. He tries to learn about all the events of a sport. It's not like, oh, I'm a sprints guy, so I don't care about the throws. He was trying to learn about everything, and he's good at the things I was lacking and still lacking, like organization. Like, you remember my office at Iowa Central where Brooke made fun of me because I had a pair of jeans just sitting on the floor for like 3 weeks. Stuff like that he's good with the organizational standpoint. And, my brain never worked that way. I set up the annual plan and we follow that and I make adjustments. But outside of that organization, I'm just, hey, like Bill Belichick, throw on a dirty hoodie and just get out there type of thing.
Oh, brother, I get it, man. I get it. Like, I'm the grunt. I can be at practice all day. I can show up. I can anything you need me to do. But it's other stuff. I'm just not as organized with or passionate about, and I get it done. But Not
What have you
much.
been doing with the weightlifting? Because I remember when I called you right after this last job was done, you were on a bike or a treadmill or something, but I wasn't sure if you're getting back into lifting too.
Me, I mean, nah, I don't really lift too much, man. Listen, I get me a bench, a row, leg press. I get some single leg squats. That's pretty much it. Other than that, man, give me some hurdle mobility.
Mm-hmm.
you know, I keep it. I've been my dad now, man. My dad is 70 now. God bless him. But I've been riding every morning with him like the last 2 weeks. So I mean, it's pretty cool to spend some time with him again. Uh, and kind of get my exercise in. So I
That's
rode
that's
about
a lot
12
of us.
miles today.
That's a lot of us throwers. As we get older, like me, I did a 7 mile hike today. I got the
Yeah,
bone spurs in the knees, so I can't lift or sprint like I used to.
yeah,
Like it seems like we just try to do whatever we can to burn the calories as we're getting older. I remember Gadina years ago. Wasn't he training for like marathons or like 10Ks or
something
something
like
like that?
that, man. Something. I know, man. I was an explosive guy. I liked explosive activities, man. But I can't do that crap no more, man. The jumping on boxes, basketball, going up there trying to dunk and all that. That's long gone. So you just got to find stuff that like just interests you. You know, if I'll ride a bike. Other than that, I make sure I get some lifting in. But shoot, I mean, I think I did some snatch pulls about 2 weeks ago. That was fun. Uh, but I'm not turning the ball over anymore, man. I'm just old, man. kind of
I was
kind of nervous about it, to be honest. You
Well,
know.
and that's the thing because I got the bone spurs. If I squat full or if I do snatches full, the knees explode.
Yeah,
They blow up huge. So
yeah,
I was doing power snatches and all of that, and every single time I'd be doing one, I'm just thinking, just get under the bar. I'm sure it'll be fine. And
yeah,
it's I'm carrying a lot more weight now than when I was actually training, which is a huge thing. That's probably not helping the knees much up either. But it's that competitiveness of I like the Olympic lifts because they're fun, they're explosive, and all of that. So I've really been stubborn about trying not to lose those things when I probably should be putting them aside.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's for me, man. I just shoot. I was never a small guy, but man, hey, the scale was getting heavy. So you get old and stuff start to hurting. So I'm probably down about. I say I'm down about 40 pounds since October, and
Good.
I can stand to do about 50 more. We'll see how long that takes, but I ain't been worried about it. It's just consistent habits. Like if I'm not riding the bike, I try to at least go for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
That was my routine for most of the spring. I lift one day, next day I just walk on the treadmill for an hour. When it
Yeah.
got nice, to start making that walk outside for an hour, and then a couple weeks ago, my dad he got back into biking because when he was my age, he probably biked like 80, 90 miles a week. Like him and my grandfather, rest his soul, they went into the bikes, and I used to laugh at them. So here I am, you know, headed to the trail with my dad. So it comes full circle. So you know,
Yeah, I'll do a 7 mile hike. Um, Try to keep it a good pace. I try to go pretty quick, so I keep it generally 15 minutes per mile or 15:30 if I'm hiking.
yeah.
Um, I'll if I walk or jog, it's a little bit less. I needed some stress relief on what day was that? Tuesday.
Mhm.
Tuesday, yeah. So I did 11 miles on the hiking trail. That took 3 hours. That was a long one, but just doing whatever I can because then I weighed myself because I had one of those more expensive like body composition scales,
Mhm.
and I was a little annoyed at what the weight was. I was like, I've been doing this for 2 months. I was like, and it's this heavy. I was like, what the hell was I in March? I must have been like real out of shape in March if that's what it was there. The good thing
Yeah.
is like the lean muscle mass is very high. That was actually at
Mhm.
88 kilos of lean muscle. So I'm like, all right, I at least got that going. It's everything else,
Yeah.
tasty cake at 10 p.m. after dinner that's probably doing all the other bullshit. So
I feel you, brother, man. I
I mean,
feel you,
it tastes good. Like, what do you want from me? Like, I eat one meal a day, so if I eat at dinner, I'm gonna have something good.
man. Yeah. Nah, I hear you, brother. Listen, I can put away some food. So listen, I understand, man. You know, I ain't burning no more pizzas.
That was Don't go into too much, but Floyd and I hung out. We got some stories. We can sort of tell, but we were getting back from hanging out one night in Iowa, and it was the day before the regional meet, right?
No, this
Oh no,
was
Buena Vista. This was Buena Vista.
yeah.
Now I remember, or South Dakota.
No. It wasn't Buena Vista, it was South Dakota.
It was South Dakota
I
because
I
you drove
I,
yourself.
I drove. I missed the bus. I woke up to a pizza that was blacker than leather. And I had what's the air quality is bad today. It was a Canadian forest fire.
But wait, but you woke up in bed, right?
Yeah, I woke up in bed.
I thought I thought you woke up on the kitchen floor. I couldn't remember.
No. I woke up. It was smoke everywhere. Man, get to the
Yeah,
oven.
I
Man,
remember
listen.
because we were at the meet. I want to say it was indoors at University of South Dakota,
Yeah.
and I remember like D's like, "You hear from Floyd?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Did you see him?" I said, "Well, yeah, yesterday. Yesterday I saw him." And then I get text like, when you get to the meet, you're like, "Yo," you're like, "I put the pizza in the oven," because we'd go to like Walmart because there's nothing else in Fort Dodge to get food after like 8 p.m. And we went to Walmart to get some stuff. And you're like, I put the pizza in the oven, and then I woke up to smoke and just a black burnt pizza. So then you had to
Listen,
drive yourself to
man.
the meet.
I drove to Vermilion, South Dakota in January. No heat. No heat, man. My blower motor was out. I'm wiping the windshield, but the heater core was working, but the blower motor was out. So the heat would from the core would eventually defog the windshield. But man, I'm in the car with gloves, two coats on. Oh man, just crazy, man. Just crazy. We call that JUCO shit, man. Excuse my language, but
I mean, we had another Walmart story, if you remember the other one.
I do remember the other one. But we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that
We'll
out
leave that
the
between us.
podcast, man.
That was one of my favorite ones. But
Good
Floyd
time.
likes snickerdoodles. I picked him up some snickerdoodles that day. I'm just gonna that's the extent I'm gonna say of that story. But that was a fun time. It was interesting. I still remember I had a 2-bedroom apartment with an individual car garage for $500 a month, which
Woo.
insane to think about right now. Because I had my Chevy HHR with a remote start, and I could
Yeah.
just lay in bed because we had 4 a.m. pole vault practice because the pole vault box was in the YMCA. So I had to get there before the YMCA really opened. So if it was cold, I would just lean over with the remote start and start it in my
Yeah.
single car garage.
Man, wow.
Yeah.
Fort Dodge, man. We had cross nationals for junior college. I help out with cross country now. Wow. That's crazy to say out loud. But anyway, we had our national meet was in Fort Dodge last fall. So that was an interesting time being back. It looks much the same in many ways, but the campus has changed a lot. And
Is
and they
is
got
there
a
still the
Chick-fil-A.
Casey's? There's still the Casey's Pizza at the bottom of the campus.
Yeah, like right before the entrance when you come
Yeah,
in over
yeah.
where the towers were. Yep.
Oh, the towers are gone.
They not gone, but I don't think they use them. They built a whole lot of more of them student apartments. Like They just slapped them things up like Monopoly houses around the little campus. And so yeah,
Because I just remember that was D Brown's favorite pizza was Casey's.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I like Casey's, but it would never be in my favorites ever. But
Well,
Casey's is
you're in
pretty
the
good.
area that calls a casserole a pizza. I mean, you're a Chicago guy, so you like your 17 pounds of cheese. Because I
Nah,
remember when
no.
I remember when I went to Lou Malnati's and we got the pizza when I was coaching at Valpo. You cut out a slice and the cheese just kind of morphs like it's making a new slice in that hole you just made.
It's more of a touristy thing. I'll have a slice of deep dish every blue moon, but like I like thin crust tavern cut, man. The squares,
Yeah,
that's my thing.
like cracker thin. Those
Yeah,
bar pizzas. Yeah.
yeah. So that's my thing. We got a lot of good pieces like that out here, but I mean, deep dish that's just like one of those things. It's not an everyday thing, you know. I think people go too extreme. We are like the thin the thin crust. That's more of us, but people do eat the deep dish out here. Like it ain't that much damn tourism, you know. But
Well, they were all real next to us because remember you went to when the Coaches Association had the classes in what was it, Loyola, Chicago, right?
yep, yep,
And we were right next to a lot of those places
yeah,
because we just stayed in the dorms right on campus there.
yeah, yeah. I
That was
remember
because
that, man.
I went to Second City.
Did you?
I went to Second City Comedy. I remember
Okay.
it was the worst train trip of my life. I get on. I don't remember which line I had to take, but I get on and I'm like, something smells like crap. Like I notice it right away. And there's a homeless guy with the pants around his ankles, squatting like this, just going to the bathroom in the middle of the train car. I'm like, all right, let me try to find another car. The other one smelled bad too, so I'm like, all right, but it's better than a dude literally using that last one as his bathroom.
That's
This
worse
was
than Dan.
4 o'clock in the afternoon in Chicago.
That's worse than Dan Aykroyd on the was he on the bus in Philly and trading places after him and Eddie Murphy got swapped out basically by the Dukes. You remember that?
I remember when they were on the train together with Jamie Lee Curtis. When he was on the bus? Let me think.
Well, that's when they were about to
Yeah, they
screw
were about to do
the
the
Dukes
plan.
over.
Yeah, yeah.
But like right when they got flipped, when they put them in jail, and what did they do? They canceled out all his credit cards, moved Eddie Murphy in his
Mm-hmm.
house, and he lost his girlfriend. He was on the bus. It was like a Christmas party. Remember he bought that gun from the pawn shop?
Oh, yeah. When he was dressed up, yeah, as Santa. Yep. And he
So it
started
was worse than
shoving all the food in the Santa outfit.
yeah. So it was worse than his bus ride. That's what you saying?
It
Man.
was like as soon as I got on, that smell just hit me right in the face, and I'm start walking looking for a seat, and he's just squatted down, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to go find another train car right now. But Second City itself was fun because you know me, I'm a comedy nerd, and like just to see the live improv, I stayed for. They did like 3 different shows back to back to back, so I stayed and I watched a whole bunch of those. But no, it was a cool experience going there.
You know what though? I liked that coach's education school. I mean, I only did one other. I think I did the throws in Seattle. It was fine, but like I enjoyed myself at Loyola. I
Right.
did the jumps at Loyola, but
I did.
I just knew so many people into the school, so
I'm trying to think of which one I did there. That was one of the master's endorsements. That might have been the one with the Maltese. I don't remember because I did
you did do Maltese.
Well, I did the Maltese, but I can't remember which place that was at. I think that might have been Loyola because then I did the one at Towson in Maryland was the other one.
Okay. Yeah, man. Coaching education, man. That was fun times. But I think like the day before we did the presentations, we went to some bar like right down the street. They had
right out front.
oh, you can eat
you were
chicken fingers for like $1
Yep.
or something. It was something crazy.
It was like
Mm.
$5, and then you get all you can eat chicken fingers.
Yeah, yeah. But they bring you like two at a time.
Yeah,
Take forever for the next serving.
because it was me,
Hey, I
you,
had a
and
lot of chicken fingers that time though.
it was me, you, and I think Mike Roll. Well, Rick Hammer, who I was coaching with, was there, and then I think
Yeah, I
Mike Roll from
remember.
Mansfield was there too. Um,
Okay.
you became philosophical, Floyd, for a little bit, but
Listen, man, sometimes when you have chicken fingers, that happens, man. You
gets
have
gets too many
eliminated.
chicken fingers, and he starts just waxing philosophical about things.
Hey, what can I say, brother? What can I say?
So, what's your plan the rest of the summer? You going to be doing any clinics or anything like that?
Nah, man, I'm wrapping up. Uh, we'll finish our last week in the weight room next week as summer classes conclude. And then for me, it's off the cross, man. So that's always an interesting time. This is my third year helping with cross country.
Well,
And
the good thing is you've been biking. You could be not a pace vehicle, but you can be out there on their long runs, like kind of go around the course with them or something like that. I'm
that
serious
would
now.
be listen, I should, but I'm not.
Tell the school to buy you one of the fat tire trail bikes, and you can get out there with them.
Oh man, I wish. Dude, I wish, man. My dad, so my dad is really into biking. Like, now I have a mountain bike, but this guy has it. Like, he has all these racing bikes. Like my granddad, he used to have the clip-in pedals, the helmet. He had a suit. I'm like, granddad, you just riding around the neighborhood like he going to the Tour de France. God bless him, man. But they were really into bikes, and when he passed. My dad got all those bikes. So yesterday I was riding one of his racing bikes, and I mean, I was flying, man. I think shit. Like today, for instance, man, I averaged about 13 miles an hour. I got up to 23, but that was a very short period of time.
Right.
On that racing bike, man, I was averaging about 16 and a half, man. I didn't get any fast. I was about 23, 24, something like that. But like, dude, I was covering ground like no other, but I, I couldn't reach for the brakes, man. They was too down far on that racing handlebar, man. I almost killed myself coming up to an intersection, man. So I put that bike away, got back on the mountain bike, but I rode a trail today, which was nice because the air quality was all jacked up, but the trail was nice and in the woods, so we was kind of sheltered from that, I guess. At least the heat. So I got
Yeah, I
12
mean,
miles in a day.
air quality was pretty bad today. It was like 100. I don't know what any of those numbers mean. Last night it was like 180. It was like it's not safe to get outside here
Yeah.
for
I just know when I woke up this morning, I really thought my next door neighbor something was on fire in their yard.
right.
And then I looked out and I'm like, okay, it's bad everywhere you look. Like, what's going on? And as I'm like, oh, wow, air quality, Canadian fire. So okay,
No,
I'm like,
yeah, during the hike, everything smelled like a pizza oven.
oh
Like,
wow,
yeah, it was a little bit rough, but for me, yeah, I got a trip to Michigan.
okay,
Gonna try to figure out, like I said, a handful of things. Part of doing this one today was just to make sure I still know how to do a lot of this stuff. I told Mike Cunningham that I would do. He has that 1918 project,
yeah,
and the idea I had is I'm going to be doing one of those about using historical figure leadership skills to talk
hmm
about coaching and just the parallels between somebody like a Napoleon and some of his leadership skills and how you can kind of draw parallels to that with coaching. So
yeah.
instead of just talking about the same stuff, kind of use my useless history knowledge a little bit to talk about a couple things.
No, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. And this is a question I got for you, right?
Sure.
So we all want Greg to just take a step back, maybe just focus on an event group, right? Which one would it be if you had to focus on one?
If I had the choice, multis, because that's a little bit of a cop out, and I get to coach everything. And I'm not coaching by committee. I'm not sending my jumpers to a jumps GA. Like everything, I'm handling in the multis. Like for me, I even said like any place I've been, if I build a large enough program and I had the support and the facilities, I would try to get enough assistance to where I just had a nice group of 4 decathletes, 4 heptathletes, and that was it. Because I love the throws. That way I still get to coach discus, shot put, javelin. I love the horizontal jumps. I turned into a pretty solid mid distance and distance coach. So, I mean, especially for things like the 1500 or the 800, if you're doing solid 400-meter training, those are going to improve anyway.
So let me ask you this. I got an opinion, but I'm just curious to your thoughts because I know you've done both. The differences between coaching a group of multis versus simply coaching various event groups simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any difference in your approach? Because with the multi people, you in charge of it, all of it, or these are the people you relying for on the events, but like you got 5 throwers over here. Like, okay, then I gotta worry about 6, 7 sprinters over here. Okay, then I gotta worry about Travolta. So I'm just wondering if your approach any different.
100% it's different. So when you're coach of the multis, you have the schedule all planned out of what events every day, and you can float. The only time things get a little bit hairy is during the pole vault practice, because pole vaulters need constant attention. They're needy that way. Like you have to be there for every swing up, every straight pole drill, all that stuff. When you're coaching multiple events, not the multi events, but a lot of different events, I compare it to math class, to where it's like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So you have an order of operations. Okay, during these workouts today, what is the most important thing? And it's determined by safety, by difficulty of the workout, by a handful of different things. So that's really the main thing. When you're coaching the multis, it's a plan. Like it's an event area. So it's, like when you're a sprinter, you'll have an acceleration day, speed development day, all those different things. But if you're a multi, it's just the same thing, except it's events. So instead of breaking things down, I mean, you still have to break them down by acceleration and all of that for their speed work. You're just adding other activities. Whereas if you're just a sprint coach, you have the luxury of doing the med ball circuits and the general strength circuits and all of that. Multis, it's the easiest group in the world to overtrain. The other difference is the mental aspect of the multis. And I've coached multis who think they're multis, but don't have the mental capacity for that. And that's not being insulting. That's they don't have the mental acuity to be able to put a bad performance aside or even a good performance aside. Because you get too excited after a really good performance, you're going to flake out on the next one, and then you're going to crash even harder than if you just didn't have a good performance. So the great, possibly, my opinion, one of the greatest college coaches of any sport of all time, George Williams. I was talking to him at a multi 10, 15 years ago. And he was, I love him. He's such a great guy. And he was just saying, yep, multis, you got to keep them right in the middle of that parabolic curve. Can't be too excited, can't be, too down on themselves. And that's really what it is. So you got to train them to think of, hey, guess what? Your 100 sucked, but you're not a sprinter right now. Now you're going over to be a jumper. Now you're being a shot putter, whatever event you're moving on to next. So that's something that you don't have to deal with quite as much. There's other mental issues going on with those events. But for the multis, that's its own animal in itself that you have to kind of work out.
Oh, yeah. Because it's like, if you coaching throws and sprints, like if your sprinter has a bad day in the 100, it's not going to have an effect on the guy throwing discus. You know what I mean? Right. Whereas in the multi, guy has a couple bad events, and you worried if they can just look faster, or not even necessarily bad events. it's not that strong event, but it's just the psychological thing of seeing a lot of people do outperform you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That can get to kids too. So I was just wondering how you know manage that.
Yeah, and even I think a big problem with the individual events right now is everybody thinks they're a specialist. And we can
Mhm.
do another one of these where we talk about that, but there's so many athletes now that, oh, I don't do discus, I'm a shot put specialist. Well, why don't you do discus? Oh, I never really learned properly, I don't like it. Well, yeah, it's not, you're not a discus thrower, you never learned it properly. And I
Right.
was like, give me some time to see you do the actual drills and maybe you could be pretty good at this. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
throwers are always whatever you're throwing the farthest is your favorite event. That's the way it always
Oh,
is for
100%.
throwers.
100.
And sprinters, there's this thing of kids, oh, I'm a 200-meter specialist now. It's like, no, you're not. I didn't see your name in the medal podium for the Olympics. You're not a specialist of anything right now. And I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of these sprinters, the jumpers, are kind of getting down on themselves, where
Yeah.
because they specialize, if they don't do good in that one thing that they think they specialize in, then they're pissed off for a week or 2 weeks until they get to the next meet. So they never really get the chance to grow and really adapt as an athlete.
Yeah. I mean, you can fall into that trap as a coach too. I've
Yeah.
fallen into that trap. Especially you start having greater amount of success in a specific event, and then but sometimes you got to rein yourself back. And I've seen it where I've had a kid do well for me where they just throw the discus or the hammer, and I've had the depth for that to work. But then I have an athlete who's similar but not as talented come along, and I don't have the depth. Now I have to have them doing multiple things, and then I look back like, damn, I should have had this, been doing this with. So that's a trap you can fall into, and I've fallen into it, and I try to avoid it,
Well,
but
you've had a lot of classes with Boo, just like I have. I don't know how many classes I've had with Boo, aside from just speaking with him. But
yeah,
one thing he did, I can't remember which class, might have been one of the sports science classes. He said, how many of you have screwed up an athlete? And nobody wants to put their hand up. And he just puts his hand right up. He's like, I have. He's like, I've done it all the time. And
yeah,
he's like, you're not going to be a good coach if you don't screw up an athlete here or there. It doesn't mean you damage them permanently. It's, hey, we're trying something else. I got a couple ideas of different ways to write these programs or different ways to coach things. He's like, if
yeah,
you're doing that and you're constantly trying to improve yourself, you're going to have times where you screw up an athlete. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
not something that you shy away from. It's like, no. If anything, that's the time that you can tell younger coaches, oh, you wanted to do that. I tried that before. It didn't work out for me. This is why it didn't work out. And that's how
yeah.
you kind of move things forward.
Oh yeah, and man, then sometimes, and it's crazy because I'm always preaching that to kids, man. Listen, it ain't gonna happen right away. But then I've turned around when it's not happening right away. I'm like, man, this kid. And then there's been times where I'm indifferent about it. And you let a kid get enough reps, enough training opportunity, especially if somebody who puts in the work. You're like, okay, we finally got there. But that's all a learning process.
Mm-hmm.
As you coach. I'm still learning. It's crazy. About to be
Well,
year 20 for me. That sounds crazy. 'Cause I still
yeah,
feel like I just got into this.
I
You
just
know,
finished year 21. Yeah.
Man. Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I started coaching at 23 and 44 now. So,
Man.
uh, it's been a while and it's a climb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, glad you hopped on. I wanted to try this out, try to stream it to a couple things before I put up the recorded podcast. Like I said, I was surprised at how many listens some of these episodes got. The one where it was me, you, and Brooke years ago, that got the lowest. So I'm going to blame Brooke on that one.
I forgot about that one, to be honest, man.
That was during COVID. I remember that.
Wow.
We just did like a little Iowa Central 08-09 reunion type thing. But if people, I saw got a handful of people that watched while we were going live. It was like 5, then 2, then 1. If you like this or you want me to have any topics, let me know. I've already talked with a handful of coaches about people that might want to come on and chat. So we'll do a couple of those or any topics to go about. But, if nothing else, I don't get to see Floyd much anymore. I'm not out in the Midwest. So this is a chance for me and him to talk and BS about just stuff we would talk about anyway. So you're around track coaches. Yeah, I talk about some things, but we always end up talking about track and field at some point or another.
Oh, always, man. It's good to see you, man. You got to keep me updated, man.
Yeah,
on this new journey for you. But man, you're gonna land where you're supposed to be, man. And I really believe that. And I'm excited to see the next chapter. So
I appreciate it. And at first I was upset, emotional in an angry way and all of that. But then, like I said, as I was reflecting, that one quote from Marcus Aurelius of you can't be harmed if you don't accept that you're harmed, meaning people are going to say BS. Some people are going to say BS, and I'm just, who is this? I don't know who this is, but it says, why is lifting that focuses on the legs frowned upon? It would seem bigger legs store more nutrition for distance or short burst running. Ooh, oh my God, I could go on for 45 minutes. I'll try to keep it as quick as possible, but this is somebody on Twitch chiming in. Find my social media and reach out to me as well, and we can even do one because we had Dave Miller, who was an international Olympic weightlifting coach, a good friend of mine, and the strength coach for Houston track and field sprinters as well. I wouldn't say that lifting with the legs is frowned upon. It's the type of lifting you're doing. If you're doing a lot of hypertrophy, and for anybody listening, watching, hypertrophy just means increasing the cross-sectional diameter of a muscle fiber. So basically bodybuilding lifting. It's all about what type of lifting you're doing for your specific event. When you're a distance runner, you still need a lot of leg strength, not just for the strength to increase the stride and to increase your speed, but also to have a better structures for injury prevention. And lifting is something that does a great job of that. A lot of mistakes that distance coaches make is they will increase the mileage of an incoming freshman without addressing the strength aspect first. And if you take a kid from high school that was only doing 15 miles a week, and now all of a sudden you're trying to get them to do 50, 60 miles a week, and they don't have the structure to do it, they're going to get injured immediately and persistently. So it's not bigger legs, it's stronger, more effective legs. So it's more about getting as much strength as possible to increase the stride length, as well as the better structure for injury prevention. How is that, Floyd? You're an exercise mindset.
I agree 100%. I mean, it's just me lifting in general in terms of an athlete. Even though some they will get bigger, size has never been like one of the outcomes I'm even looking for when I program, when I'm trying to develop an athlete in the weight room. I'm just looking to see how I can get the nervous system to respond. Other than that, it is, the lifting helps you stronger. It helps you get strong. I sound crazy. It helps you to be stronger. It helps you to do the same movements with more efficiency than when you didn't have that strength. So that's a benefit. And those are the things I look for. I'm not really thinking about, looking at a kid and they gotta be this size or they gotta look this way.
No.
I've
had sprinters that look like skinny little rails that are fast sprinters, but they're strong and explosive. I have had distance runners that look like Clydesdales, but they can run for days. There's different body types for everything, and a lot of your muscle size and how you look is kind of pre-programmed, in terms of how your body responds to training. And you'll see this a lot in female athletes. I was talking with the mother of a recruit a month or so ago, just about how female athletes, once they go through puberty, a lot of times they switch event areas completely. you have somebody that was a real good distance runner, and then as soon as puberty hits, now all of a sudden they're a mid-distance runner or they're a sprinter. Like a lot of times you can't account for that type of thing. Lifting, if people aren't familiar with lifting for track and field, what I always say is the two main things. First, do no harm. If you don't know about a type of lifting, do not program it. Do not try to teach it. Do not do it yourself. Number two, keep your hard days hard, your easy days easy. So if somebody's a distance runner, those are going to be your high neural days when you're doing speed and tempo work. You're still going to do the Olympic lifts. Every distance runner I've ever had does Olympic lifts. There's a multitude of reasonings for that. And then on your off days, let's say you have a recovery run, the worst thing you can do is a hard lift, because now that's not a hard or that's not an easy central nervous system day. Now you're at a completely difficult central nervous system day. So those are really the two main things I would say. But that might be the next thing we do. Dave would easily come back on here to talk about training. And I think that's a topic that, as much as there's good information out there, I think a lot of people just ignore good information about lifting still, honestly. I mean, I'm not sure how you feel. I see some Instagram scholars out there that think they know what they're talking about, and they don't have a damn clue what they're saying.
I think that, just people trying to be too complex and do too much. One of the things I realized, that was an early revelation I had, especially going through coaches education, is, man, sometimes the simplicity of certain things we do is almost unbelievable. Like if you weren't in the field, if you weren't working in the profession, training and meeting coaches and learning about this stuff, you wouldn't believe how simple some of the stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I think we get caught up in the complexity instead of the benefits of the simplicity over time, the benefits that they reap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and people don't believe the easy stuff. They believe the flashy, cool looking stuff. You know what I mean? Like 100%. If I say, hey, a hard day for my sprinter, a high neural day for my sprinter in the weight room, we're going to do about 8 sets of an Olympic lift. We're going to do a heavy static lift or even a ballistic lift like a jump squat, or we'll do pin squats or do something for lower leg. Somebody's promoting something. No, I get chats on the screen and somebody put a link in there. Hey, if you're trying to promote something, don't a stream with one person isn't really the best course of action. I guess you don't have a marketing degree. It's one of those things where people think if you say something easy, you're holding something back or lying, when no, it's that easy. It's, hey, we do an Olympic lift, we do a leg strengthening lift, and we do another ballistic lift. Because first of all, time economy. Second of all, recovery is a huge reason. If you're talking about getting legs or anything bigger, one way to avoid that is the recovery time. Because if you deplete the muscles of oxygen to where they don't get full recovery, that's when you're going to actually add to the whole thing of hypertrophy. Because recovery for hypertrophy is usually 60 to 90 seconds. For max strength, you're talking, I go at least 3 minutes, but usually it says like 2.5 to 4 minutes. So that's another huge reason for it too.
Yeah. But that's what I see, man. I mean, I get a lot too, especially with incoming athletes. Tell me how much stuff they do in the weight room.
When you get an email from a recruit saying I squat 725, I get that all the time.
That too. But like one of the biggest things from the freshmen, they can't believe, a lot of them that have a decent lifting background, they can't believe how much less we do in comparison than they did. And then they can't believe the results that a lot of them see. Like how am I improving? And I'm just like, you're doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
Repeating it, going through cycles. It's just, eventually.
Well, how do you get faster when you're doing sprint workouts? You run fast, you have long recovery. Yep. You run fast again. I mean, there's oversimplification. You still do tempo, you still do other things, but It's the same thing in the weight room. How do you get strong? You lift pretty heavy, you recover full, you lift pretty heavy again. It's really that simple when you think about it. Now, putting together the annual plan in a cohesive program and keeping all of those things in mind of, okay, yeah, I could go over heavy with the Olympic lifts, but we're also doing med balls, we're also doing plyometrics and multi-jump routines and things like that. So now I'm going to have neural fatigue because this athlete's going to be burnt out. So that's where the actual coaching comes in, is the program design of, I need to make sure that, if I'm cooking, use the right amount of ingredients so it tastes good. I'm not just going to say I'm making pasta and put 5 cloves of garlic in there. It's just because something's good doesn't mean you need to throw it in there.
100%. I like to just keep notes on things I've done in particular seasons, man. I like to keep notes on, like, if I had a specific change or maybe an adjustment, I like to keep tabs on the type of athletes that I had, and then like the type of response. Well, I just like to go over notes again every now and again when I feel like I'm running into not a problem, but I feel like I can help an athlete achieve more, and I'm not.
Right.
A lot of that just going back to notes, things I've taken, observations from past seasons, notes I've taken from clinics, etc. That's all stuff.
Yeah, and it's realizing that sometimes it's not you. Like, you could do the greatest programs in the world. What I tell the athletes a lot of times is, I'm allowed 4 hours a day with you. We usually don't do more than 2.5, 3. I'm allowed 4 hours a day with you. You have the other 20 hours to F it up. Like, if you're getting 1 hour of sleep because you're up all night playing Fortnite, you're not taking care of your nutrition, hydration, doing all this stuff. You got 17 girlfriends and all of them know about each other, and now you got drama. You're screwing up everything. So don't look at me. Look at your own lifestyle of why you're not doing as well as you should be doing.
And I think too, man, as much as we got technology and all of this stuff, and we track and record, and I'm not against any of that, man. Sometimes, man, you can just look at how the bar moving, and then that leads you to the perfect questions.
Mm-hmm.
What you been doing? What's been going on, man? Hey, you been getting any sleep? You got a big test or something going on? How's mom at home? And a lot of times, man, you see changes in the bar speed in a negative way. Usually it's those peripheral factors, like you said. But yeah.
Well, I'll be in touch about another time we can do this with somebody else. Part of the reason I'm wrapping up is I only have one small window air conditioning unit for my condo. I don't have central air, and my thermostat says 84. So I'm just like scratching,
getting loose on you.
Well, I'm just scratching myself like, what was Dave Chappelle's character, Tyrone Biggums? Like, so if you see me keep going like this, just my body is sticky and itchy right now. Like, I'm a crack addict or something.
You want to tell me, brother? Listen, you got something?
I'm just itching myself all over. So I'm like, all right, now it's probably time to wrap it all on up. But I didn't want to put the AC on and have it all loud in here right next to me. But this is fun. Like I said, next time we can go more in depth with strength and conditioning. Dave's always cool about coming on and talking. And that's the one that people seem to enjoy the most. Even I know people not really associated with track. I know some strength coaches that told me they listened to that and really enjoyed, kind of hearing our own ideas about things. So, if anybody listened, thanks for listening. Keep track. Social media, Greg Schmidt. Social media, Coach Turner or Coach Floyd. I can't remember which one you use.
Coach Floyd T.
Coach Floyd T. Mine's usually just Greg Schmidt for everything. And then I created a Twitch thing that's just Trackheads Podcast. So that's going to be the one that keeps the streams on Twitch too. So reach out if there's any topics about track and field, strength conditioning, Olympic lifting you want us to talk about. I'm sort of like the Forrest Gump of track and field, where I just somehow know so many people in there. So I get along with all of them, and they're happy to come on and talk a little bit. So if there's any topic you want, I'll try to find some way to hop on with us. But other than that, Floyd, it's not like we're not just going to text as soon as I hang up anyway. So I'll shoot you a text. But thanks for hopping
All
on,
right, brother. For sure, man. All right.
All right. Take care, everybody.